Hey there, this is Coleman Williams of IV and the Strange Band, and you are listening to the Nothing Shocking podcast.
Want to know what's going on in the world of music? Then tune in to the Nothing Shocking podcast, a non-genre based, all ages friendly rock and roll program. Join us weekly for interviews with all your favorite rock stars from the mainstream to the underground. You can find us at nothingshocking.libsyn.com or anywhere you download podcasts.
Welcome to the night. You think you know Night Demon? Then the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast is for you. Step into the darkness as we peel back the curtain to give you an unprecedented, all-access look into the mind and the heart of the demon. We're talking band history, song analysis, studio anecdotes, stories from the road. It's everything a diehard Night Demon fan could want and more. This is the only place to learn the inside scoop, the deep dive trivia, the untold tales from the band members themselves and those closest to the Night Demon story. Need more? The Sacred Night Demon Crypt will be pried open to reveal demo recordings that have never before seen the light of day, all with in-depth commentary by the band and the people who were there for the writing and recording process. This is a gold mine, a treasure trove of all things Night Demon. Head over to nightdemon.net or wherever you listen to podcasts.
We're putting the band back together.
The numbers all go to 11.
I'm talking about bands that rock. Led Zeppelin. What about Sabbath? AC/DC. Motorhead.
Does that mean it's louder? Is it any louder?
Well, it's one louder, isn't it?
We're not worthy! We're not worthy!
Why don't you just make 10 louder and make 10 be the top number and make that a little louder?
These go to 11.
I get up off the ground and raise my head. Days like this, think I should be dead. One for Satan, two for me. Let's cheat the devil, it's fun, don't you agree?
Welcome to the Nothing Shocking podcast. I'm your co-host, Jeff Untied, and with me in Dog Bowl Studios is
Coach Nez.
You can find the Nothing Shocking podcast on Libsyn or any pod catchers. Like our Facebook page or follow us on Twitter at NoShockPod.
You can also find the Nothing Shocking podcast on Rock Rage Radio every Sunday morning at 7 a.m. Central Time. Our sponsor is Ragged Records, located in downtown Rock Island, Illinois, and downtown Davenport, Iowa. We'd like to thank the Hong Kong Sleepover for allowing us to use their music for our intro and bumper ending. Tonight's guest is
Coleman Williams.
Punk rock, country, meshed together.
Yeah.
Coleman Williams IV.
Yep, IV and the Strange Band.
Yes, indeed. Well, great interview. Very insightful of the family history. Let's not waste any more time. Let's get to this interview.
All right, good night.
Good night. Coleman, welcome to the Nothing Shocking podcast. I'd like to introduce to you my co-host, Jeff Untied.
Coleman, it's going to be good to talk to you tonight.
What's up, man?
Oh, very good. Well, with COVID-19 still gripping the world, how have you kept yourself busy during the COVID lockdown?
Well, during the COVID lockdown specifically, I started this project. So, I stayed really busy, man, and, we tried to do everything we could, and I had a group of people that was already really around in the same area, and we were all musicians and couldn't make money or tour. So, the opportunity was to try to do something different and find something. And I've done a lot of my own work for a very long time that I never really used. I did rhythm in a lot of projects and never really was the leader. And, it kind of just worked out me starting to use my work and everybody enjoyed it. There's a couple of musical people that I look up to, like my friend Riley Downing, who did the same thing with like the Deslons, so it's kind of, there's a lot of artists during COVID, I think, that kind of tried to do their own thing instead of being in the band that they already were in or what they'd done previously in music. And, that was what all of COVID was, really, man. I just dedicated my time to that instead of letting it get me down. There isn't really much I could do about it. So I was just trying to be productive. And I worked. So I was considered an essential business during it. So I was working a full-time job and then making music every night.
Oh, fantastic.
Nice.
Well, yourself and Daniel Mason will be kicking off the Strange Banjo Tour this Friday, August 27th. Can you talk?
Yes, sir. We're actually heading down a little early, just getting there, getting set up tomorrow.
Oh, fantastic.
Cool.
Can you talk a little bit more about the planning process of this tour?
Sure, man. Having a 6-piece band, 7-piece locally is awesome. And, but I am in a band with really wonderful people, some of my best friends, but they all have families too. It's just sometimes can be hard to schedule like a tour, and you never know right now really with COVID. So, I wanted to do a little solo duo thing coming up, having one of my play. And Daniel Mason is someone I've known longer than everyone in the band. He's like my brother. He played for my father. He's a great banjo player, one of the greats, and he's the same age as me. He's only about a year older than I am. And, we grew up together. So, he's a guy that's always helped me musically. He's always been a person that if I needed somebody to throw something against, he's always had my back. And I had planned to go out by myself, actually. And, I just thought it would be fun to have rhythm. One of my big musical influences and a good friend of mine, a guy named Nick Shoulders, he does a great musical project with a band, but I saw him during COVID and he just had a bass player. And I had already started setting up the single tour. And I was like, man, it'd be kind of great to have like a percussion instrument that's not drums to play with you in like a solo environment. And that's so, I knew I wanted a banjo player, and that was like the big thing for that tour. We have a big band tour about 3 weeks after I get done with this tour with Amigo the Devil, and we'll be doing that. Oh. So that's going to be really fun. This is something kind of fun and weird. And, before the band tour, instead of waiting with COVID and everything else too, I just want to be out there playing. And this was something kind of, I set up, and it's going to be really fun. There's some cool musicians that I really look up to that I'm excited to get to play with as well, like J.D. Pincus. That's going to be awesome. His solo banjo project, he's going to play with us in Spartanburg. My friend Drayton Farley will play with us in Alabama. That's going to be really awesome. Rachel Brooke will play with us in Detroit. So, it's awesome, man. We're going to get out there and make some music, man. And, it all starts from my writing, and this is kind of like a more intimate thing. I feel like a lot of musicians kind of wait to do like a duo or solo thing with a band thing until like years before. But like it all starts that way, in my opinion, or at least how I do writing is like it all came to me just doing it, like playing it against the wall by myself and writing stuff down and, throwing it with a percussive instrument like a banjo, man. It's really fun and it's a cool experience. It's kind of like an unplugged thing, because we're going to tour the record, there's only one song from the album that I will not be playing, but every song we have about 3 versions of.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Because like all my songs, like even Son of Sin's a good example. Like I have a recorded, it's available right now. I have a full band recording of that, but then I also have a pretty successful internet video of a completely different version that I do by myself with a company called Western AF.
Oh, great stuff.
So, yeah, I have 3 versions of every song, so this is kind of just like the second version of every song, except for we have one song we play called Filth, which is a heavier song that is a full band thing, which uses like 100-watt amps and everything. So, we're a country band, but we have metal influences in a couple of our pieces, and I cannot do that, just me and my banjo player. But, past that, we're going to play the full record. We'll play some fun songs that I really enjoy. It'll be great, man. It'll be about an hour to an hour and a half every night of getting to just play the songs to people.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit more about the new record? How many songs are on it, and who are some of the players?
There's going to be 12 songs on it. We don't have an official release date yet, but a lot of that's just distribution stuff. But we already have, got that take down. We have the songs that will be the record. We're just kind of getting everything finalized and taken care of. It's looking more like it's going to be the beginning of next year, but a lot of that is because there's a lot of backlog due to COVID, and that's been a hard. My 45 isn't even for sale yet, and I had an order for those since February.
Oh wow!
But that's everyone, man.
Yeah.
Even people at the top of the tower are dealing with this. So, that's a setback. But at the same time, it's you doing it the right way. I hope to have a few more singles out, but we already have the record itself. So yes, that's.
Nice.
Finally getting tucked into the right place where it will be.
So I've listened to the song Son of Sin. That's the one you've released so far. How does that compare to some of the other tracks on the album?
Well, we've played several shows. You know, I've played like in the past week. I've played 2 shows in town. So you know, they're people have seen our full record. We played our full record as well in West Virginia on the 30th of July. That was like the record. We played the whole record for everybody.
Nice.
So we have about, like, as the record's built, like 9 country songs and 3 songs that are like country, but they also have like a metal progressive theme to them. Son of Sin is a good example of that. We have a song a little beyond that. We also have a song called Deep Down. That's kind of like a harder, heavier country song, but still has very strong country vibes. You know, like I said, part of why I'm doing this tour with my banjo player, Daniel, is just he's such a great musician. So, like, in some heavier songs, you don't always hear a banjo lead. We have banjo leading in, you know, heavy songs, which is great, man, because he can hold it with some of the best. I mean, the man can play anything with strings, not just a banjo.
Yeah.
Oh, very good. I guess I kind of wanted to bring this back to Amigo the Devil tour, and opposed to Strange Banjo tour. Logistically, how have you planned out these 2 tours being kind of back-to-back as they are?
Well, you know, it's just getting in as much as we can, man. You know, Danny is a wonderful musician, Amigo the Devil. I'm a big fan. He's incredibly talented. He's a great songwriter. I'm a songwriter first. He's the same. And, you know, that's something that I believe is these days not always done first. And, you know, like, that's someone I'm very excited to tour with. I mean, Piano Corner Street Thieves are also great, you know, great group of string musicians. So that's just, you know, that's something that we had worked together actually before I even set up the duo tour. I had a full band tour set up. It's in October, you know, so that was great. That's been really wonderful. And we've had that set up for a pretty long time, which is great and wonderful. I mean, we announced it around my birthday in May, but I mean, we were talking about it in March. So, you know, Danny's been awesome. So we're super excited about that. The duo tour, I just really wanted to have like another time to go out before that. You know, we played quite a few local shows. We played in West Virginia. We played in Memphis on the 4th of July. I played with Jamie Wyatt in June, who's a good friend of mine. You know, so we had a fun running around playing stuff, but I really wanted to just do another tour. And like I said, you know, I have bandmates with kids, and all my bandmates ironically are married except for me. So you know, like, you know, they're always there. I'm one of the luckiest people in the world, in my opinion. No one in my band is hired. All my bandmates are my friends. So, you know, that's really wonderful. You know, that doesn't always work, and it does with what I have, and I feel very lucky for that. You know, but, you know, sometimes just logistically it's easier to just jump out on the road. I mean, some of my really good friends, like I said, my buddy Nick Shoulders, my friend Todd Day Waite, a lot of other musicians that do like kind of like Southern swing and stuff, they have a full band, but sometimes it's just easier to go out with one person or go out by yourself.
Well,
cool. I just wanted to take Dan out there, man. You know, it's been a long time, and, you know, he's a great player. He's one of my favorites, and I'd like people to get out there and just see him again, you know, and we're really happy, and I feel really lucky to have him with us. And, you know, like I said, you know, I'm excited to push the record. So, you know, part of this tour is also me, like, playing a different version of 2 of the songs on the record are still acoustic versions that are done by me like this, but, like, the whole record itself will still be performed so people can kind of see the record before it's even released.
Oh, very good.
With Amigo the Devil, we're an opener for an opener, so our time slot's a little bit smaller than we would want, you know, but that's not a bad thing. That's just business for the 3-piece when you're playing with other bands.
Yeah.
With the Strange Banjo tour, I'm headlining, so I can actually comfortably play the whole record, but one of the songs, and do a couple of, you know, other ones that are just influences.
Oh, very good.
Yeah. You have a literature degree and a teaching minor. Can you talk a little bit about your writing process and how that's influenced you?
That's not really anything to do with school, to be honest with you. Like, you know, I did that. I proved myself. I wanted to go to college. That was something that meant a lot to me. Most people in my family just didn't do that.
Yeah.
So that was something I really wanted to do. Now, I didn't go immediately either. I took a break. I traveled for a couple of years, you know, but when I came back and I went to school, you know, it was a great experience, but I've been writing since I was a kid. Writing, like I said, far before I was ever even a musician, I was a writer. I've been writing my whole life. When I was a kid, I used to write poems a lot, but I also used to write songs. I used to write short stories, things like that. I've always been someone that loves writing. Like, you know, it's the creative process for me. I don't really have, I guess you would say, a process, but if I want to write, I'll just sit down and write. And I've always had like a composition book or I'll buy like an art book with blank pages, and that's what I've done past like 6 years predominantly, is I buy like blank book pages that have like 400 pages in them and just fill it up. And then I keep that one, and then I write another one. And for every year, I keep all the books I write for that year, and then I catalog it and go to the next, and I'll start writing again the next year. Like during COVID, there was a lot more to write because I had a lot more time. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it's just, for me, writing is therapeutic. A lot of people deal with things certain ways. Some people do it with substances. Some people are into sports, things like that. Writing for me is a process that kind of helps me like work through my brain. Sometimes I don't even write about things that are about me. It's just writing. Yeah. Some of my songs on the record are written about things that I've just read. I love to read history, things that like influence me, and I'll just write perspectives. I have a song on the record called Inbred that's about the Fugate family. And, I wrote a song because I wanted to kind of have like an opinion from their perspective. And I've always been interested by the Kentucky Spurs because it's just a very interesting story. It's kind of sad how it ended, I mean, and that's just, I don't always write about myself. I just write about things that I find interesting.
Oh, fantastic.
But Amigo the Devil, like as a guy that we're going to tour with soon, he's very similar. There's like a lot of his songs can be pretty dark. They're not about him, but they're about experiences that he's like either been connected with or had a connection with.
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
I kind of wanted to bring this back to Son of Sin. A little bit working with Trajectory Records, as we see the movement of artists releasing singles opposed to releasing full-length albums, or maybe or more
beyond the record.
Right. I guess maybe the thought process of how sometimes, or not sometimes, or how we're seeing in the popular culture of all musical genres of artists releasing singles opposed to releasing full-length albums, or every once in a while we're going to see lucky times come and see an EP being released from an artist. What is your thought process of artists releasing singles at a time opposed to releasing a full-length album or even in an EP, for that goes?
Well, I come from a DIY perspective more than a lot of people in my family. I was raised around punk music more than anything, house shows, venues, things that were, I mean, it's not the same here anymore, but 20 years ago in the town of Nashville, we had 15 different house show venues. Like there were independently a genre of every type of music in Nashville where you could go see house shows and not have to go to bars or venues, because I was a kid. Mm-hmm, and like that was literally a way you could go see all types of music. And it is a massive part of what I am right now. And, a lot of those bands, man, they would release like a song, or they would release like a record that was 4 songs, but I mean, it doesn't really matter what you're releasing, in my opinion, as long as it's quality. Like at the end of the day, if you're going to release a body of work, what's really, really matters at the end of the day is, how much have you put into it? I mean, I love a full length album. I'm a huge vinyl collector. I'm an audiophile. That's something for me that's very important. I love the journey of a record, but there are definitely individual songs that definitely can hold more of a premise than an entire record sometimes.
Well, very good. We've interviewed many artists that reside or have resided in Nashville. So many artists have expressed their disdain for the oversaturation of the migration into Nashville, and that's why they've moved away from Nashville. How do you view Nashville in the now opposed to back in the day?
Well, I love where I'm from. I'm very proud of Nashville. Doesn't mean that I like the way the town is now. But my family helped build this city, so I'll always have a respect for it and a care for it. That's a little, I think, more intimate than a lot of people, even the ones that have lived here for a long time. At the end of the day, though, I don't mind that people come here. I don't like that people come here to mess stuff up. That's really all that I care about. Some of my best friends now in the music scene are people that I work with or people that I collaborate with are not from here. But they're here because of the hub that this place is. And some of those people have showed that love and given back to the town. And I think that's the essence of what Nashville always was. I mean, my great-grandfather was from Alabama. You know, Waylon Jennings was from Texas. There are so many people that came to this town that were not from here. And it was the same thing before that, where nobody was really here. You had Roy Acuff, of course, King of the Opry, but you didn't have all these people, let alone nudie suits, which are popularized in Nashville, come from California. I mean, it's just, at the end of the day, you want to come here, that's great. You can't stop expansion. In my opinion, that's a battle you will never win, because it's happening in every town. I've been all 50 states, and I can tell you that, whether you're in Portland, Oregon, or in the middle of nowhere, Texas, eventually, if there's a town that has enough people there, it's going to grow. That's just because of our world. That's inevitable. The difference, like I said, is just if people come to the town and they just want to be here for 3 days and get wasted because it's their bachelorette party, or they want to tear up the town or disrespect pieces of this town that make it what it is, that's the problem. I call that like the New Orleans complex. It's the same thing. People go to that town, which is one of the oldest towns in the entire country, and they tear it up. I mean, you can't even go to the original historical graveyard anymore because people have just torn it up so much because of the Easy Rider statue. It's just, Nashville is a similar thing. So I'm born and raised here. When I was a child, over half this town actually was easily 100 years old. And now there's easily maybe 10% of it left.
Wow.
10% maybe. Like, you go to towns like Cincinnati and you see at least half the town is like from the 1850s. And I love that. But Nashville was still like that until about 10 years ago. And that's really, what I feel about the town. Like I said, Broadway never bothered me. I've never been one, even when I was a kid, to go down and hang out on Broadway, man. I love what it is. It's a cool thing. People want to go there as a tourist thing, I remember when it had one rooftop bar, and now every bar is a rooftop bar. It's just like, it's all about, the money aspect of it. And, some of the venues down there can be pretty disrespectful as well. Not really just to the town itself, but the people around it, and that's unfortunate. So like I said, you can't stop people coming somewhere, but you can definitely come here and try to just preserve what's already here.
Yeah.
Well said.
It's not a sin. I've written about that, and it's never bashing the town, really. It's just like Broadway is a place these days where like no one who's actually from here goes and lives down on Broadway unless you work there. If you work on Broadway, then you're down there, but none of us actually hang out down on Broadway. There are a couple of spots like the Hermitage Cafe, which is like an establishment that's been there before anything was there, that people will still go eat at and stuff. That's nothing fancy. But like as going downtown and going down Second, I mean, you're going to have to pay a minimum of $10 to $20 to park a car. If you don't move your car wherever you parked within 10 hours now, you'll get towed. Like, to be easy, you would have better chance parking in D.C., which is notorious for bad parking than parking in Nashville. Downtown Nashville. Now, Nashville in general, you're fine, but downtown Nashville, from, Second to 8th, yeah, good luck. You can try. But there's definitely no way you're going to find anywhere to park without spending money. So, I mean, the commercialism aspect is unfortunate, man. But I mean, I have grievances about that across the board when it comes to Tennessee. They're not even close to the only place that's guilty of it. There are just things that could be done a little bit better, man. Like I said, you can't change that. People are always going to come to places, but like, if you take too much away from it, it won't be why you're coming here.
Yeah.
Well said.
And that's the real answer. Because like, why do people go to Vegas? It's it's because it's Vegas. It's its own environment. Why do people go to Portland? Because it's its own environment. Why do people come here? Same reason. But Nashville, it seems, Portland kind of suffered these same grievances, but like, it's not even kind of close to what it was. Like, it's not at all. Like, I mean, it's very, very different, and there are some things, like I said, I like that have come to town, like, like parts of the town that were really not safe are a lot safer, and that is nice. But then I hate to see that, like, I grew up in a neighborhood in West Nashville where everyone I knew had lived there for 2 to 3 generations. I lived in a park called Sylvan Park in West Nashville on the left side of the Nations. And every single person I know that grew up and lived there and had lived there for generations, they're all gone. All of us, every single one. Because you got put out. Because if you didn't sell your house, the construction and, your property tax skyrocketing and having, every house around you torn apart at all hours of the night and land development. I mean, there are parts of town, like if you go down Green Hills, there's a condo that blocks out the sun because nothing was built higher than 3 stories in that part of Nashville. And now there's a 6-foot tall condo. 6-story tall, condo. And that literally blocks out the sun. So that stuff is sad, because like I said, those people are coming here to mess up the town. They're trying to make money on the people that want to be here for the next couple of years. And then no one will be able to afford those places even when those people leave. That's sad. And like I said, you can't change it. But if it continues, the town won't have why people want to come here anymore. It won't be anything different than a lot of places.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
well said. Jeff, got the next one?
Yeah, well, I know you're concentrating right now on your your current band and your solo work and trying to make a name for yourself. Where I was trying to get with is, in the future, do you see ever doing like a rock country crossover like a Zach Brown and Chris Cornell, like where you work with another artist?
We've already done that with Four in the Strange Band. When you hear the whole record, you won't question that.
Okay. Cool.
The thing about our record is there's a lot of variety on it. There's easily 3 or 4 genres on the record.
Yeah.
And that's just because I never want to be defined as any type of artist. I think the worst thing you can ever do to yourself as an artist is to be put in a genre. I love country and Western music. I always have. I love progressive music as well. But, I never want to be called any type of musician. I don't like when people call me a folk musician. I've never been a fan of that. Because I'm a musician. I just make music, So, if I want to have something that sounds like Chris Cornell or something that sounds like, 50s country or something that sounds like a metal record, why not put it all on one record?
Cool. Oh, very good. It's kind of a tough question to ask you because of your family heritage, but with social media being what it is, it's kind of taking the mystery out of entertainment, rock and roll, country, you name it. It's made communicating with artists much more accessible. What is your thought process of the mystery versus the accessibility in the entertainment industry of rock and roll and country music?
Well, through social media?
I guess it would be through social media, because I guess social media just kind of takes over everything now as far as communication goes. Let's face it.
For musicians that used to not have the resources to connect with more people. A lot of my really wonderful friends through the video company that I've worked with called Western AF and another called VHS on Gems, nobody would know who they were without that company. And, that's not a record label. You're not paying that person. That person is coming there and using their time and resources to help people know who you are. So I think that social media can be a good thing for artists. There are levels where it can go too far, but there are so many great artists that actually get an opportunity to get their foot in the door and start their own careers without having to have somebody own them. So there is a positive side to it. It is harder to make money, of course. Spotify is a great example. You have to have 600,000 views a month just to make $1,000. But it's still the outlet though. Back in the day, I'm in my 30s. When I was a kid, you really had to hunt for stuff. If you wanted to find a metal record, you couldn't just type in metal record and find 1,000 things. But today, if you did that on Google, you listen to some music for an hour, 15 hours. Or if you wanted to listen to Wynn Stewart or Webb Pierce or old country, you really had to know about it.
Yeah.
But these days, there are kids, which is nice. The flip side, there are 14, 15-year-olds that are into Wynn Stewart and Eddie Rabbit and stuff that they probably wouldn't be into unless their family were into that already.
Exactly. Yeah. Very true. All right. I have one last question for you, and we'll leave you alone for the night. Can you talk more about the Reinstate Hank mission that Hank 3 has been working on diligently the last few years?
Of course. That's way longer than a couple of years, man. That goes over 10 years. The Opry says that they don't reinstate people that have died. My great-grandfather was uninstated because he missed a show that he was supposed to play, and 2 days later they uninstated him, due to alcoholism, which does make sense. But at the same time, like, the level that they monetize off of his image is infallible. It's ridiculous how much they make off of his image. I mean, they have impersonators that stand at the door and shake your hand, but they won't put his name on a wall. And yes, they say, well, little Jimmy Dickens died, and we took him out of the Opry after that. But it's like, okay, yes, but he served over 90 years there. Yeah. It's like the man literally only was in the Opry for not even 4 years and died before he was even 30 years old. He died going to a show. He probably wouldn't have died if he hadn't been out playing shows. He didn't die from drugs. He legally died of exhaustion. And broke his back and still played on stage for those people. So, the Reinstate Hank mission is something that I will continue, that my father did as well. It's something I've always done personally as an individual since I was younger. And there's so many people that do not know that. Because they profiteer so much off it, you would just assume, and their argument is, we'll never reinstate him because we don't reinstate dead people. And it's like, that's cool. How many of those dead people do you make that much money off of a year, though?
Exactly.
And this is not about money. This is nothing about us getting anything. Just giving recognition to my great-grandfather.
Yeah.
A lot of people either stood by my father or didn't support my father for this. And I think it is something that's very important, because specifically, it's just showing respect, man. He was such a young man when he passed away. He didn't really even get to live most of his life, and that large chunk of 25 to 29 was all working and making money for the Opry. Even when he was at the Hayride, he was still making money for the Opry because people were either singing his songs or they would just play re-recordings. So it's just, I do believe that their argument is very weak. It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And because there are people that have been uninstated and reinstated, he's not the only person, but he's the only one where it stayed that way, and just an answer is, well, he's dead. That just doesn't seem like a great argument.
No.
Because of how many people die tragically young and they're in the Hall of Fames all over.
Exactly.
And he is the Country Music Hall of Fame, Songwriters Hall of Fame. So why should he not be in the Grand Ole Opry Hall of Fame?
Well said.
Yeah.
Well said.
And it just seems like a very weak argument. Well, even Jimmy Dickens is out now that he's passed away. It's like, yeah, but his entire life he was in there. Like, it's just, and it seems, in my opinion, it's more about them not wanting to admit that they made a mistake more than anything, because the man literally just missed a show. So, and had openly had problems. And I also believe a lot of nothing that can be done now or changed, but a big problem in the music business in general is there are lots of people in almost every single period of history since the beginning of mainstream music that has publicly cried for help, and nobody helps, and then they get surprised that they die.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Well said.
Because it goes from the 50s to the 60s to the 70s to the 80s to the 90s to right now.
Yep.
There are people that are publicly asking for help, and nobody does anything, and then they die, and they're like, wow, that's so shocking. And it's like, was it shocking? Because I'm pretty sure that person asked for help. And if I'm sure you do, since you've asked me, if you listen to Hank Williams music, half of it is I'm pretty much telling you yeah, I'm horribly unhappy. Unbelievable songwriter, one of the greatest, but very sad songs. So, firing a man from his livelihood while he's down, and then when he's dead, you won't even give him recognition. Just seems like a low blow for me. I respect the Opry. I grew up listening to Tuesday and Friday nights, enjoying the Opry. That's something for me that, I loved, I loved little Jimmy Dickens. Speaking of the man, huge fan. Just in general, I think the Grand Ole Opry is an establishment that will always, one of the few things that hasn't changed as much as others in the town. That's the other reason it's disappointing that they won't help this, and like I said, I know there are rules about it. I'm going to continue to collect signatures. I'll continue to do the same thing my father did. And hopefully something will change with it, and if it doesn't, That's unfortunate, but I'm just not going to give up there, because I do believe that there should be something, even a statue, man. Seriously, like literally, I would not even care if it was something like that. Just a way to show reverence. And it's nothing about me. It's nothing about anyone other than my great grandfather worked very hard, and he loved the town. You want to talk about gentrification? Everybody hates that man. He was not from there, and he gave his heart and soul there. And sadly, that wasn't the place that took care of him when things were bad. That was Louisiana hayride, in the bad years. Mm-hmm. So, to be honest, the last few years, Nashville didn't help him at all. So the least you could do is just show reverence to the man that loved this town. He came here and saw what it would be 7 years before it happened.
Oh, yeah. Well said.
There's no ill will there. I'm never one. I'm not a mudslinger. I'm not a shit talker, but I just think that needs to be changed. And, it hasn't been pushed for almost 10 years. So I'm just going to start collecting signatures like my father did for years, and just hope that maybe someone will pay attention. And hopefully with my success and hard work, when I'm approached by certain people in that circle, I will explain to them that is what I want if they want me to perform there.
Oh, fantastic. Let's hope it happens soon.
Yeah. Yeah,
man. Well, we've come down to our allotted time here. Before we let you go for the evening, is there anything that you would like to promote or plug that we did not cover tonight?
Well, you hit the big ones. Like I said, For in the Strange Banjo Tour, we're starting tomorrow, heading down to Louisiana, start our first show Friday. I'll be out also playing Muddy Roots with a full band, Mutants of Monster Fest, which is another festival in Arkansas with a full band. We also have a show at Shakers in Columbus, Ohio on the tour, also a full band. So there are 3 shows of this tour where you can come see all of us. Come see us. It's going to be a great time. Starting, the middle of October, come see me with Amigo the Devil, tearing it up all across the South and Texas and a little bit of the North. And, we do have probably another future announcements. People can keep their ears on the line in the next month or so for another tour, probably in December.
Awesome. Oh, fantastic. Well, this is how it's going to work out. This episode is going to be available in a few weeks after tonight. When it's all ready to go, we'll send the finished product for streaming and download to your PR people. Please have them share it to socials wherever they can.
Thank you so much, guys. Really appreciate it.
Hey, and wish you the best of luck.
Yeah, best of luck. And guess what? You're the very first country-oriented artist we've ever had on the podcast.
Yeah.
This is
Oh, dude, rad. I'm all about that. I actually did that with another podcast called Reptilicon, or it's some type of Michigan podcast, but they mostly did rap stuff, and I was the first country person on there.
Oh, cool.
Oh, badass.
So I love it, man. I'm all about it. Thank you so much for having me, guys.
I enjoyed
and like I said, we do like when we all hear the full record or when we have more singles out, we have songs that are more on a rock-oriented Southern level than just like country. And because that's very important to me. Like the 90s country vibe is huge for me. So, and not just country, grunge in general was a big influence for me, guys. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
I love to be here. Y'all are really nice. It was good talking to y'all. Hope to talk to y'all in the future. If you ever want to do this again down the line, just reach out to my guy.
Hey, we will do so. Take care of yourself out there, man.
We look forward to hearing it.
Thanks, be safe. Be well. Bye-bye.
Just